As you guys are well aware, Dave Rubin is quite the idiot. He is a pretty big moron, to say the least. He doesn't know what he's talking about, and he has absolutely sold out his integrity and honesty, dignity, genuinosity, if that's even a word. What I'm trying to say here is the guy obviously is just espousing the beliefs of whoever gives him the biggest buck, and that's obviously the right wing, and so that's why he flipped. Now there's that meme that I made that he blocked me for that really gets under his skin. It says, say you believe in something even if it means sacrificing your dignity, integrity, blah, blah. That gets under his skin for a reason. Now, Anna Kasparian, I've seen a couple clips where Anna Kasparian and John Iadarola will throw some shots at Dave Rubin, and they are pretty darn funny, and we're going to be looking at them here. And on top of that, we're also going to look at sort of like a clapback from Cenk Uygur to Dave Rubin after that as well. But I really sincerely enjoy watching them sort of do these shots at them. Now, what I can tell from is it seems like Anna and John, like to talk crap about him, which I very much enjoy because he's somebody who absolutely needs to be called out. Now, you guys are going to see a couple clips here. I think it'll be 3 clips referring to certain specific things, and then we're going to come back and talk about it.
The idea of someone unable to afford insulin, even though they're a full-time federal worker, is so devastating. And so, look, you egged me on. So I'm going to have to read one of the tweets that pretty much enraged me earlier this week because
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. So Dave Rubin, like it's very easy to sit in your studio at your home, right? That's been in part funded by Koch brothers and other millionaires and billionaires who have given you money to sell out and be the pathetic person that you are now. But he tweeted about these federal workers as if they're the ones that we should be blaming. Politicians on both sides have been saying they'll get back pay this time. Either way, most people aren't affected, and that's just a fact. And those who are affected maybe should think about getting other jobs that are less dependent on the whims of politicians. And maybe in a perfect world for Dave Rubin, everybody would just get funded by the Koch brothers to spew nonsense libertarian propaganda. But these are real Americans who work very hard and did nothing wrong, right? And so to tell them like, yeah, just go find another job. Like it's so insulting. I don't know, days like this make me feel such deep despair. Again, not just because of the dysfunction we're seeing in government, but because of some of the reaction you get from some American people, right?
Yeah, I would say, if anyone knows Mallory Lorge, they should ask her why she didn't get a billionaire patron who would give them a career in exchange for pretending that they either know about or indeed are even interested in politics.
It's just, I don't know, it just makes me, so are we great yet? I wanna know. Right? I love referencing a shirt that Brett wears.
How about make America function again?
So before we get to the stories, I want to read a few members' comments, and we do have some super chat comments as well. Some of which are a little critical.
Is someone on super chat challenging you to debate Majority Report, or?
Oh, that's hilarious! Oh my God, it's so good. Anyway, I love Majority Report. I love having conversations with them. So I was just on Michael Brooks' show. You guys should check that out.
If you support Bolsonaro and can't pronounce Bolsonaro, don't talk about politics, okay? I think that's pretty safe. He had no idea how to say the man's name, but supported his fascist agenda for Brazil. Anyway.
And if you're interested in talking about ideas or maybe even, I don't know, experimenting or exploring with new ideas, don't be so afraid to debate Sam Seder. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, just putting that out there, maybe spread it to him. Maybe do that. Anyway.
Yeah, so the first one you saw there was one about the government shutdown. Now, as you guys know, the government is still in shutdown mode. So there is about 800,000 employees. That's almost 1 million human beings in the nation who had jobs who are not getting pay. Now, we always see those news reports coming out where, like a massive amounts of people live paycheck to paycheck. So what does it mean if you live paycheck to paycheck? You're employed, but you're not getting your paycheck anymore. Well, you're going to have to make some serious sacrifices. And those kinds of things are very serious. So, normal people, again, guys, these are people who have jobs. They have occupations. They're working. They're not lazy people. They actually have jobs. And so you're talking about all these people without jobs. I think I saw a tweet of a picture with a shit ton of people basically in a food line, which basically looks like a bread line that people always look at socialism as being bad, which a lot of its aspects are. They use the bread line meme, and now you're seeing bread lines for working people, which is like, holy fuck. That's pretty insane if you ask me, and I think most of you guys would agree with that. And of course, Dave Rubin comes off without any empathy, maybe sympathy, maybe not empathy, I don't know. But I think Anna's right. I mean, like, not everyone's as privileged as you to be able to sell out to make more cash. That's not what they're doing. They actually, I mean, this is something that I would think conservatives say, right? Don't they say, like, get a real job or whatever? They have real jobs. I mean, you're kind of at your house where you have a basketball as part of your decoration, which is fine. But, you get to talk about stuff that you don't really believe in, and it's pretty hilarious to see. Now, they also go on, both John and Anna go on to reference the whole Super Chat debacle with Dave Rubin, where we know that Dave Rubin is too much of a bitch to actually debate. That list is now up now, by the way, because there's Sam Seder. There's also Anna, because she's also down to go on the show. And I'm sure that Michael Brooks would go on too, so it's fair to say there's at least, my apologies, 4 people. There's David Pakman as well. He won't have David Pakman either, which is pretty hilarious. He's too scared, period. So they reference that, and they reference how he ignored the super chat that was asking him to go debate Sam Seder, and they're referencing that. And on top of that, they also talked about how he shows this support for Bolsonaro. And this is going to tag a little bit into my next video, which is going to be about SAR fraud. And these people say they support Bolsonaro, can't spell his name, and can't pronounce Bolsonaro. They'll spell it like Bolsonaro on Twitter and stuff like that. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And so Dave Rubin was like, oh yeah, I don't know much about him, but I heard that he's going to get the SJW nonsense out of the schools. What? Just think about that, man. Process being that dude. Process being that guy. Oh yeah, I don't know much about him, but he says he's going to get the SJW nonsense out of the schools. What does that mean? What the hell does that mean? You're just like supporting blanket manipulation of school, of what's going on in school and what they're learning, and that's your basis for why you support him? And the irony of that, obviously, is that I think he said that he would rather have a dead son than a gay son or something like that. The guy is super homophobic. The guy is desires to be a dictator, and that's what he's going to be. And something also I want to mention is I saw a response from Glenn Greenwald to people in Brazil who were, because I guess The Intercept is like one of the marquee outlets that's against Bolsonaro in Brazil. And so there were people who were Bolsonaro supporters on Twitter asking him, like, hey, will you retract your statement now that the stock market is high? And it was funny because, like, the stock market doing good doesn't mean anything for regular people. The vast majority of stocks are owned by rich people, and to really make money out of the stock market, you have to be rich. You have to have a lot of money to put in there. So it's not like they're actually making any money from it, which is absolutely hilarious. So, anyways, the point being on that whole Bolsonaro thing, I don't think he knows how to spell his name. He obviously doesn't know how to say his name. And it's a brutal embarrassment. Guys, I'm starting to think that if being straight was financially beneficial to Dave Rubin, he would come out with a video saying that I am now no longer gay. I have my money on that, because how could you possibly for 1 second be somebody who is gay and married? As I'm sure you guys don't know that, because he never says that on his show. How could you possibly support someone who is the biggest homophobe possibly on the planet? Honestly, how could you do that? It's disgusting. And it is absolutely embarrassing, man. Dave Rubin is a massive joke, and I really enjoy watching them call him out. I hope that they continue to do this, because It's super hilarious, and you can tell that sort of in the background, John and Anna just like shit talking, which is pretty hilarious to think about. Now, here's where the Cenk part comes in. Cenk had a pretty good clapback on Twitter, in my opinion. So there was this whole like sort of a debacle, and I guess this tweet is now deleted, but it's from this dude named David Webb. He was having some conversation with, I think it was like a black woman feminist or something like that, whatever it was, and she says that he's using white privilege, but he's black. And I think people thought it was some massive zinger when I didn't really think it was. Like, yeah, he's not, but he's also playing the token card, which is another thing. And it's not like as big a zinger as you think because white privilege still exists. And anyways, let's not get into that. So he responded saying, reminds me when I was on TYT and one of the hosts was calling you a token and a sellout. Little did he know I knew you. But these are the progressive anti-racists, you know. So this is a really weird tweet because it's like, oh, like it's almost like he was like a spy of some sort, like a like a spy. What the fuck? Little did he know I knew you. Huh? What, are you like a spy or something? Just weird tweet to begin with. And then Cenk responds to this with a retweet quote. He says, Dave, were you pretending to be a progressive back then to scam us out of money? Or are you pretending to be against progressives now to scam right-wing out of money? So that's an interesting question. I think that's an appropriate response because the way that Dave Rubin worded that tweet and what he said in that tweet makes it sort of clear that it's like, oh, I was there pretending to have an ideology and I was just working there to make money. That's literally what that tweet is saying. That's what that's saying. Oh, you said this crazy thing. And, you know, I still work there. It's like, okay, what are you insinuating here? It's very obvious what you're insinuating here. And so the question of, you know, were you pretending to be progressive back then to scam us out of money or pretending now to be against progressives to scam the right wing out of money? You know, I guess both. Honestly, I think it's both because he doesn't have any legitimate beliefs, any legitimate policy positions, any legit, you know, convictions, any of that. Those words are foreign to him. He doesn't know what they mean. They don't exist to him. So I think it's both because he doesn't believe in any of them. He just espouses it. But to the right wing, that doesn't matter. They don't need him to actually believe the stuff that he says. He just needs them to say what he said. Remember when Dennis Prager had him on with that chat that they had, and Dennis Prager was like, oh, keep doing what you're doing. It helps me so much. He was basically saying, hey, man, you're a tool. And Dave Rubin even responded like, well, I'm not doing it for you, to symbolize like, oh shit, like, oh, man, I look like a tool here. I need to save face. The point here being is they don't care about whether or not he believes it. As long as he says it, they don't give a shit. You think they care? You think the Koch brothers care? No, of course not. They'll keep funding him. They'll keep ramming fucking cash. Anyways, pretty funny clapbacks if you ask me. I thought they were pretty funny. Let me know your thoughts about this down below. I do hope that Anna continues to just throw shots at Dave like all the time because I find him really hilarious and pretty impressive if you ask me.